Another World Cup moment in America has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. No, not a wonder goal. No, not a beautiful assist. Not fans from around the world embracing the host country, but a confrontation between Dallas police and members of Egypt's World Cup delegation. A video showed police shouting, Egyptian staff pushing back, and a child reportedly at the center of a photo dispute. According to reports on the ground, the confrontation happened as Egypt's team prepared for its round of 32 match against Australia in Dallas today. Video had showed Egyptian team staff clashing with a Dallas police officer after police had stopped a young child from taking photos with Egyptian players. Now, the footage showed a specific police officer pushing staff members before the situation was brought under control. Dallas PD released a statement regarding the issue, but failed to address their own officer, their hot-headed officer, it seems. But this isn't the first incident that has been brought to attention in the media this week regarding the World Cup. It's part of a broader discussion around the treatment of certain teams, which remains in the headlines, especially regarding the Iranian national team and the treatment they faced while participating in the tournament. It's no secret that as a result of Trump's ongoing conflict in Iran, their national team were not treated like every other qualified World Cup team.
The US just changed its World Cup policy for Iran's national soccer team. Here's why. The Department of Homeland Security says Iran's team will be allowed to travel to Seattle 2 days before its next World Cup match against Egypt. That's one extra day compared to Iran's first 2 games when the team was only allowed to enter the US within a 24-hour window before the kickoff and then had to leave the country again after each game. The change comes after Iranian officials complained about what they called unfair treatment during the tournament.
The team, of course, were based in Tijuana and initially only allowed to enter the United States 24 hours before matches. After games, they had to leave immediately. It's not news that Iran planned to complain to FIFA that the restrictions were inconsistent with equal conditions for all other teams and it could harm their preparation. Their coach actually called Iran the most oppressed team at the tournament, with their captain calling into question the World Cup logistics. And after their subsequent exit from the tournament, Homeland Secretary shared a statement that he, quote, did a happy dance when they exited the tournament. Now, a spokesperson for the administration was asked about this on TalkSport, and it led to quite an interesting confrontation.
Andrew, can I ask you about the handling of Iran? Because a lot of the European press have been reporting, and the Iranians themselves have been reporting about the manner in which they've been handled and the treatment of the requirements of them.
Can I ask you a question first? Do you take the Iranians' word? Or do you take it with a grain of salt?
No, I take it a little bit of a grain of salt. So I'm coming from a position of empathizing with your position, but trying to understand what people perceive to be a lack of transparency and an element of opaqueness, alongside, I think, some clumsy comments made by Mark Wayne Whelan, who talked about the idea of dancing around and celebrating the fact the Iranians have gone home. I don't think that's helpful. So what I wanted to understand this question was, we get this perspective of the Iranians have been handled in a certain way. People talk about soccer being a soccer tournament, should have nothing to do with politics. We are all grown up and know geopolitics has a place to play. But no one can understand, to some extent, what was the methodology and thinking behind handling the Iranians in the way that you appear to have done, which is making them fly in and out of certain places, not being able to base themselves in certain environments. And then you get a leading politician coming out and saying something which I think is clumsy, to turn around and say, I'm dancing and celebrating now that they've gone. So what's your response to that?
So, well, I'll tell you this first and foremost. It was the Iranians' decision to base in Tijuana. They were based in Tucson, Arizona. We made it very clear that they could come in the country 5 days before their first match. And they decided instead to base in Tijuana. So that was their choice. When they did that, what we decided to do was we decided actually to make sure that we could have CBP, US CBP, Department of Homeland Security, meet them in Tijuana. So then that way we can educate, make sure that everybody who was going to be coming on the plane or who had visas was actually on there. So when they would land in Los Angeles, they would have that opportunity. We told them they could come in the day before the match for the Los Angeles matches, because that's just a 27-minute flight, not that long at all. And that they would have to leave the day of the match because, again, 27-minute flight, not too much of a burden, at least in the NFL here. All teams, they'll fly across the country.
But Andrew, no other team's been handled that way.
Andrew, finish. Hold on. Let me just finish here. I let you answer ask the question. Let me finish because I want to show you what we also did was with Seattle. We understood that was a 3-hour flight. We gave them the second day for parity. Can I tell you why they were handled that way?
Yeah.
Because they were the only team that was putting in people with visas that had direct ties to terrorist organizations. So the reason why Secretary Mullen went out and probably said what he said is because he's extremely focused on protecting the United States of America and protecting all those international visitors that were coming here to enjoy this tournament. And when you see people that have direct ties to terrorists that are actually having conversations with them, plotting about what they're going to do.
So, Andrew, are you telling us, you're telling us here and now live on our show, are you telling us live on our show that the Iranian are you telling us the Iranian football team was a national security threat?
As Trump talking head here, Andrew Giuliani likes to say any outlet pointing out said issues like the treatment of Iran or the fact that a FIFA and UEFA approved referee was denied entry or any issues involving teams in attendance is not balanced because it's not partnered with celebratory statements of how well other areas of the tournament have gone. That it's not how journalism works, right? The Trump administration actually needs nobody else to give them a pat on the back. There will be plenty doing this and making sure that Trump is at the forefront. They'll just also make sure that he never attends any games in which the Aussies are playing in. It's not the job of journalists or outlets to point out what is clearly unjust treatment of certain teams or officials, but then turn around and say, also, yeah, the stadiums are packed, so it must all be fine. If that's how news was covered, then how would we ever know of any injustices happening when there's surely a lot more good things happening than bad? But also on that point, as I have said numerous times in recent videos regarding the World Cup, there are so many aspects of this tournament that has been a major success, but not because of this administration, actually in spite of them. I used the example of how the Algerian team were embraced in a tiny little town in America where local high school bands were learning their anthem, togetherness was on show, and all of it was the antithesis of what this administration has made their blueprint, right? They have attacked diversity, inclusion.
I do believe that it's kind of happening at a unique time when there's kind of a global fear of coming to the United States. How can that possibly be? We're just amazed that people would be fearful of coming here because they might be stopped at an airport. We want the world to know that most of the people in this country right now totally embrace everything about them. We want to know about their culture.
I am from Algeria. I live here 18 years. I'm here. Then I am so happy what they did in Lawrence for our team. You are so nice and kind.
We love you guys.
We love you too.
Yes.
And thank you so much for everybody. And 1, 2, 3, viva Algeria.
Yeah.
I hope they're gonna win today.
Hill, the irony could not be clearer when you have Trump sycophants celebrating goals from US striker Balogun while trying to do away with birthright citizenship, which if that were to have been the case before he was born, there would be no Balogun in a US shirt scoring goals for his country.
Speaking of the World Cup backgrounds, the Supreme Court is literal aptitudes dispute on President Trump's challenge birthright citizenship. I know those Republicans, as you said, and the White House are celebrating the U.S. national team, whose top scorer is a birthright citizen. How should Americans square what looks like a celebration of immigration with efforts to criminalize birthright citizenship?
Yeah, so like all good things, they can be abused, and birthright citizenship goes back to the root of the country, the history of the tradition. You look at the original intent of the Constitution and the founders and what they were doing, of course. They were facing a very different set of circumstances than we're facing now. We know that it's been abused in recent years because people have literally just come over the border just to have a baby so that they can, avail themselves of the social welfare system of America. As I mentioned earlier, we're the most benevolent nation in the history of the world. This must be done within reason. And so that's why the arguments were presented to the Supreme Court. Is it time to reevaluate that? We'll see where the court comes down on it. I think they're going to look at that as originalists as they are as textualists. I think they're also going to consider the factors that are at issue and the strength and stability of the country. The president makes some very compelling arguments. A lot of people do, and we'll see how that shakes out. So I don't think it's inconsistent at all. I think we can celebrate immigration, legal immigration. We are a nation of immigrants, as we all recognize. My grandfather came over on a boat from Sicily with 8 siblings and started a fruit stand, and I'm the Speaker of the House, only in America. Okay. But we embrace that. We know that that's part of our history, but we also expect that people will come, they will follow the spirit and the letter of the law, they will assimilate to our country and not try to transplant Sharia law and all these other, things and change who we are. And I think that's a very important thing for American identity, and I look forward to the court's opinion.
The thing is, US fans have welcomed visiting teams. Cities have embraced foreign supporters. Immigrant communities have turned matches into festivals with local businesses celebrating the global nature of the event. The world has discovered that America is larger, warmer, and more generous than its politics show. And that's something that, yes, should be highlighted, but it doesn't negate from Trump's America also being called into question, and his politics, his ICE issues, his visa complications, because the soft power ordinary people create gets undermined by the hard edge of Trump's government. But of course, when it comes time to award the winner in the final, Trump will be there.
President of the United States gave out the club trophy when the World Club Championships were here at Giants Stadium, same venue. Yeah. Will the president be giving out the World Cup?
We will be together with the president, enjoying the final and handing the trophy to the winner, of course, together.
Together you'll be doing it.
Of course, we are together all the time.
Every game at the tournament until now, he wants to stand there as if he personally delivered the greatest World Cup in history. But the thing is, the world is very much collecting other images as the tournament goes on as well.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.